looting in Chicago. What's the story there, and do you connect what's happening in Chicago in any way with the Black Lives Matter protests and the looting and the violence then?
I absolutely do. I've actually been describing it on my social media as a Black Lives Matter inspired riot and looting. And I say that because the Chicago chapter of BLM actually put out misinformation, or disinformation, I should say, and helped spark this night of anarchy and chaos. They had claimed falsely, wrongly, that Chicago police had shot and killed a Black child. That absolutely did not happen. Police returned fire on a 20-year-old man who fired at them first. And he did not die. He's alive and well and is being treated in hospital. But it was these lies that were spread on social media recklessly that inspired countless numbers of people to take to downtown Chicago. And unfortunately there were opportunists who smashed up windows using cars and weapons and looted dozens and dozens of luxury stores with impunity for hours.
It strikes me too that the Black Lives Matter movement has encouraged a culture of suspicion against the police, hostility to the police, contempt for them, and also contempt for property, etc. That these looting scenes we're seeing more and more.
Yes, actually, if you look at the written statements from the three co-founders of the Black Lives Matter organization, they're open revolutionary Marxists, and they have contempt for the American way of life. So not just the American criminal justice system, the rule of law, but also the concept of property rights. And so whenever you see these nights of looting and all that, there's no condemnation from any BLM groups. In fact, they frequently encourage it because they see it as a step towards, in their words, tearing down the system.
Now, let's go through some of the other cities that are seeing this massive unrest in the light, in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement. First of all, Portland, which you've covered in great length on social media, on your blog in particular. There's been violence there for more than 70 days straight. What is the story? What's going on?
That's right. So Portland, like other cities, broke out in riots at the end of May. But unlike other parts of America, it's continued every day now for, I think tonight is the 75th day. And it's quite surreal when I say that and describe that. And some of the footage that has come out shows hundreds and sometimes thousands of rioters trying to burn down the federal courthouse using explosives, coordinating mass violence. Unfortunately, the mainstream media wrongly blamed the presence of federal law enforcement for the riots. That was absolutely wrong. The riots happened before federal officers came, and it's continued after they left. So the rioters have now moved beyond downtown and gone to residential areas of Portland. Portland is where I am based out of and where I do my work. And they've attacked now every single day multiple police buildings and properties in the residential areas of the city. In fact, they've already declared where they're meeting tonight. Last night was another unlawful assembly. The day before was a riot, and they actually broke into the police union hall earlier this week and set it on fire, something that they had done previously.
It seems to me that the Portland police have been hamstrung a little bit by their restrictions placed on them by courts and by the local authorities. Let's move to Seattle, where in fact the police chief there has resigned. Why is that?
So this is Carmen Beth. She's been in law enforcement in Seattle for almost 3 decades, and she was the one who was overseeing all the anarchy and chaos that happened with that so-called autonomous zone. And I think what people have to realize with at least how American policing works is that there's only so much a police chief can do without the support of the city council and the mayor. And in cities like Seattle and like Portland, they are openly hostile to law enforcement. And I think what happened is that it came to a boiling point for the police chief in Seattle, in that there was really not much more she could do in leading, and she made the decision, I think, a right one, in resigning, because that demonstrates to other city officials that there are some with integrity who would rather quit than to fall into line as they would want.
And I believe also Antifa came to her house as well, which must be very unpleasant for her, particularly if you don't have the support of your city council. Andy, no, once again, I've got to congratulate you on your courage, your perseverance and professionalism in covering these riots at some real cost to your own personal safety, of course. So thank you so much indeed for your time.